What is up, guys? Welcome back to another director's cut. And this one is a classic, but a good one. I'll go ahead and say before you watch this, if you have not seen the original, I will link it down below. I recommend watching the original version with the audio before watching the director's cut. But this place is the old Cross Mountain Mine. There was a huge disaster that happened here in the early 1900s. It killed over 80 people in a mine explosion. In a different video, I actually visited the spot of where the mine shaft was. It's now filled in. But in this one, we focused on the coal tower, the prep plant, or tipple, as some people call it in coal mining terms. This is where they would take all the coal and slate mined out and separate the coal from the slate and wash it and prep it for going out to be burned or used for whatever energy it's being used for. But there's a lot of activity inside this plant, and you'll see some in this video. It gets pretty intense at times. That's why I say watch the original first for the context. But it's on top of the possible paranormal situation here. There was a lot of danger just being in the building itself. The structure is not in very good shape, and the last time I went there, I actually paid attention to the support beams underneath, like the upper floors, because the floors are metal grate. You'll see in this video they're solid metal grate. You can see through them, which is not good for someone with vertigo, for one. But you can see the steel support beams are rusting away, and in some spots they're essentially gone. And I realize this when I'm standing on them. And if you've been following my channel any amount of time, you know how I am with flooring. I don't like weak floors. I don't like falling through floors. So that kind of put an end to coming to this location. I decided that was the last time I'll come here. It's just too dangerous. It's not safe to be there. But with that being said, as you see here, I'm in the electrical room, which has been robbed of all the copper wiring, but all the push buttons and control switches are still there, which is really cool to look at because these are old. These are from 40s or 50s, I guess. Looking at how the switches are made and stuff. That's just one of the things I love, is just seeing these old structures and what's left behind in them. And there's a conveyor belt that would take the coal out and put it into a pile or into a dump truck to take it off to wherever it's being delivered to. But I should have took these stairs as a fair warning, where they're all bent and warped to not go up. But I don't know if this is the video or not, but one of them I go all the way to the top floor. And it was one of those instant regret moments. I don't know what got over me that day. Sometimes I'm a little more of a risk taker, I guess. But yeah, you can see how you can just see right through the floor to the bottom level, and it's very unnerving. It kind of throws your equilibrium off a little bit. And but at the same time, it kind of saved me, because the spot I was walking towards at the time when I noticed that the supports were almost gone, and it stopped me from actually walking in a spot that could have gave way with me. But you see Tim's looking over at all the machinery there, and you can see the floors there are all uneven and kind of warped, which is a good sign for me not to walk on them. But I love looking at all this machinery. I imagine it's a lot of value still behind in scrap, because I mean, all these, these things aren't cheap, because you got all these hoppers that the coal and the slate goes through that separates them, and it's a lot of machinery left behind in there. And I'm always just fascinated with all the items left behind. Like earlier, we saw those boots, the miner's boots sitting behind, and just reason, I always wonder why people leave things behind like that. Like all this equipment, for one, the people that own the mine, they took this building down and probably got a good amount out of the scrap value. Oh, look at that stair there, how it's rusted out. Nowadays, I would not step on it. But then I guess careless is the word about places I moved around. But I don't know. I guess ever since falling through a floor, it's just made me extra nervous about it. But one of the things about these buildings, or this one in particular, is from the outside it looks to be in remarkable shape. Like, it looks almost new. Like, you see the metal on the outside wall there. It's still shiny, it's still bright blue from the outside. But you go in and it looks like it's 100 years old inside. So it's a little deceptive. And you can see I'm kind of looking at the flooring there where it's kind of janky. But a lot of debris. But one thing about this is there's hardly any vandalism. Like, you don't see any graffiti anywhere, which is really rare in places like this, you know, abandoned places, because people love to just spray paint obscenities on everything for some reason. But for some reason here I'm real hesitant. I guess I don't know if it's the flooring or what, but I'm just barely moving. But look inside that. You see those big wheels inside of those big discs, and that was part of the separation process from the slate and the coal. But I believe this is where I just keep going up. I just keep going up the staircase for some reason. I really wanted to was at the top, I guess. Wasn't worth it. But outside the empty cigarette packets and skull cans everywhere, it was fairly free of trash. Just materials left behind is pretty much all there were in this place. But I could imagine, like, back in the day when it was still operating, how loud it would actually be in there with all because the coal would come in the very top floor and just kind of process its way all the way down through this machinery. You know, it just keep kind of stair-stepping its way down until it was done with its process. It's kind of insane, like, how much went into just separating it. You know, I guess a long time ago it was done by hand, but with the Industrial Revolution and progression going, all this machinery was invented and created to do all this. But another thing is just like there's no barricades around all this machinery, so you imagine if someone just like got their clothes caught in it or fell into it, it'd probably wouldn't be much left after it was done. But this floor here was concrete, which was kind of odd. Like, this is the third or fourth level. And yeah, okay, I remember this. This is where there's a platform, kind of like a balcony sticking out. It's made of metal. And we go out there and you can see a pretty good ways from right there during the daytime. But there's still more above me, obviously. But you can definitely tell by the way my camera movements are. I'm really on edge during this moment. Like, I remember doing this thing and how stupid it was, for one. And then it was like everywhere I went in here, it felt like someone was with you, but they weren't, you know. It was just, you had this uneasy feeling of being followed around. And knowing that there's only one way up and down, that plays into the mental aspect of it too. Just, you know, knowing your exit's only one way, and if something happens, you know, I mean, one of these staircases could give way or collapse or something, and you're stuck. I mean, you're having to call fire department, I guess, to get you out with a ladder, because there's only one staircase going up. There's no other way down. I guess you could slide down the conveyor belt, maybe, but who knows what kind of shape that's in. But one thing I really need to do is, it's something I haven't done here, and I don't know why, is I need to come back to this area and actually go to where the mine shaft was, where the explosion happened. Because, you know, we discovered that at one point. I figured out where it was at, looking at old maps and then looking at the landscape around the area. I know where the old mine shaft is. I never have done an investigation at the mine shaft itself. And that's something I really do. I need to return here for that, because that's something that hasn't yet to be done. And I'd be curious to take the Echo Box and some other devices there at the entrance and see what happens. See what kind of evidence we can catch. Because, I mean, I think it's 87 or 88 men died in that explosion. And literally a few miles down the road, and I want to say it was in like 1912, is early 1900s, or maybe even earlier than that, like 1902, the Fraterville mine disaster happened that killed over 200 men. And I've done a full scale kind of documentary on that. Of course, it'll be down below in the description as well. I'll link all these videos I'm talking about for you guys to go check out yourself. But yeah, it was a terrible disaster. It was, the explosion was heard through the whole valley. Tons of men died, and this was not long after the Coal Creek Wars, when it was they fought the Tennessee State Militia to even keep their jobs here. They had to fight a full-on war over the state bringing in prisoners to take the jobs to save money. So there's been a lot of turmoil in this town. This area has had a lot of loss of life, because I mean these were the same. This is essentially the same town. You know, it's Fraterville and Briceville, I think, is the name of the two towns. But they're so close to each other, and you know, everyone knew each other. So for all this tragedy to happen in a short amount of time, within like 20 years apart, really is hard on a place when you lose almost all the men in the town, and you got all these women and children without their husbands and fathers. It's amazing how this town has overcome all that, and it's still thriving today. Both of these towns. So, but the silver lining in all of it is this really sparked a revolution in mine safety, and it's because of these disasters that working in the mines is much, much, much safer nowadays than it used to be. I mean, it's still a highly dangerous job, obviously, but it is much safer than it was in the past. You know, especially back in the early 1900s, 1800s, it was a very dangerous job, and you were likely to be with someone or die yourself working in the mines. Like, it was extremely dangerous. But now with the protocols and mine safety, it's a lot different now. Yeah, here we are out on that platform. This is pretty scary because it just kind of hangs off the side of the building, and I couldn't tell how secure it was, so I didn't really want to step on it. I remember Tim going out on it just like it was nothing, but I did not want to go out on that ledge. I wasn't going to, but man, that's some rapid camera movement there. I really need to not do that. That almost made me dizzy. I feel like I've come a long ways with my camera work, though. Now that was weird. You see what happened right there? Something, I remember hearing something there, and then you look, and it's like, I don't know if it was orbs, but there's a big kick up of like dust right there in that area, which was really bizarre because no one else was up there with me at that point. I think, if I remember correctly, Tim was too afraid to go up, which is weird because normally Tim's the one that's gung-ho about going somewhere, and I'm the one that stays behind. I'll even make him take my camera sometimes in a dangerous spot so that I don't have to do it. And my God, look at this flooring I'm walking on. How dumb was this? I mean, look, there's holes in it. Oh gosh. Yeah, you can see how nervous I was about that. And this, oh yeah, I remember this now. There's this big vat, like big round blue tank outside, and it had this catwalk that went over it. And during this moment, I remember there was something moving around in the water like crazy below us, but we could never see what it was. It wasn't like it was fish or anything. You see, it's like a swamp in there. There's all this grass growing in it, and it's kind of just swampy, murky water. And there's something like moving around in it like crazy. And we could never figure out exactly what it was, what kind of animal was down there. Or even if it was an animal, I don't know. But you can see, like, I'm all over the place here. I'm nervous. But you see the side of the building. Like I said, it looks brand new almost until you go inside. But I remember this whole thing was like rocking back and forth as we were walking on it. And it was, I wouldn't do it again, that's for sure. Because you imagine if that gave way, we're in this, like, it's like a 10-foot wall. Or maybe even higher. It might be like 12, 14 foot high. And to be in that, I don't even know how deep that water is. That would just not be a pleasant situation to be in, to be stuck in that. I would lose my mind, for sure. You can tell, like, I'm trying to figure out what in the world's moving around down there below us. But we can never see anything, so I don't know. Who knows what it was? Could have been a mud puppy or something flopping around. Sorry, guys. This is what happens when I have to try to talk about something for 25 minutes. But you can see how tall that is. There's the conveyor belt coming off the building, going to where the mine shaft used to be. But definitely an eerie place. And it's out in the middle of nowhere. If you're familiar with the Briceville area in Tennessee, you know it's kind of off to itself. A lot of good people there, though. I've always met really nice people in that area, and I always love going to Briceville. So shout out to you people, Briceville people, good people. But yeah, so that whole area, though, I mean, I call it Lake City still. It's now Rocky Top, Tennessee. I just grew up with it being Lake City, and before that it was Coal Creek. And then before that, Freighterville I think was a different town, but still, it's went through some name changes, needless to say. But it's a beautiful area, a cool place to visit. They filmed King Kong Returns, or King Kong Lives, I can't remember. It's a sequel to King Kong, was filmed in this town, in these mountains here, which is kind of cool. And I think it's a box office flop, but like fans of the King Kong series, they love it, from what I understand. But I think we're nearing the end of this. I'm still searching around and just walking around this godforsaken place. I mean, I'm nervous with the floors just watching it, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was a cool experience. And oh yeah, I remember Tim climbing up, looking inside this machinery here. I don't remember if I did that or not. But cool place. Glad I filmed it. Glad we went there. It was really awesome. But I do plan on returning this year to investigate at the mine entrance itself. I think that would be interesting to see what happens there, but a lot of cool stuff in this whole area. I mean, I'd like to try to find the entrance to the Freighterville mine too. So if there's anyone out there that knows where that's at, I've had a lot of trouble finding it. Kind of got mixed information on its exact location, and it's hard to know like where exactly it's at. There's so much mountain. So many mountains around this area, and it's such a dense forest. It's hard to find it exactly. I've even thrown a drone up and just searched for it, and have not had luck finding where the mine was. I've had 50-50 on people that live in that area and know about it. There's the outside. You see how tall that tank is. That's that big thing we're walking over. But anyways, whether the mine shaft is still accessible or not. Some people say it is. Some people say it's been filled in. So I don't know. I just need to find it for myself and check it out. Even if it's accessible, I don't think I would go exploring too far in it, because ended in a gas explosion, a gas leak underground. So there's a really good chance there's some pockets of methane in it, and that's not a good situation to put yourself into. That's why I steer from, especially like coal mines, abandoned coal mines and stuff, because there is a lot of gases underground, and if the ventilation's not running properly and it's just kind of been stagnant, there can be lots of buildup of methane in different areas of the mine shaft, and you'd be collapsed before you'd know it. You know, you'd start getting dizzy, and by the time you realized something was wrong, that you'd be done for. But with that being said, we're nearing the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this director's cut. I rambled on for about 21 and a half minutes now. But I enjoy making these. I enjoy your responses, your feedback. And please let me know what you would like to see. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what video you'd like to see me do next. But I do appreciate you guys. And I am releasing some stuff over on the member side and Patreon. So go check that out. And I'll leave y'all with that for now. Y'all just stay spooky.